good morning. It's 7:03 on this Wednesday, July 31st. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on a Wednesday, a wonderful Wednesday it is. The sun is shining this morning. It rained last night at my house. I don't know about yours. But anyway, we're all set to go this morning and on the air for Cedarstone Bank, Lebanon, Mount Julia, Donaldson. Simple banking, simply better. And Tina Winfrey's here. Tina, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you, too.
How are you doing?
I'm well.
Yeah.
And you?
I'm doing fine, too.
Excellent.
How are things at the bank?
All good.
Yeah, all right.
Everything's going well there, too?
Well, we enjoy having you, enjoy having Robert, and, of course, Bob when he can make it. Bob's a busy guy at times.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So we just all kind of pitch in and help each other out here and there. So he asked me to come take his place this morning. So really can't take his place, but come fill in, I guess.
Well, you can come as executive vice president, which you are.
Yeah.
And we talked last time you were here, I guess a couple of weeks ago, about really about what you do. And most of you do, and I mean, you're seeing that everything is operated correctly. You have people under you who have those responsibilities, but there's a lot that rests on your shoulders there. But we won't get into all that this morning. But you have a vital role to play, although most of the time you're probably upstairs and out of sight.
I am upstairs and out of sight. People are like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. We didn't know you were still there." And yeah, I'm upstairs, and it is. We have a wonderful, awesome staff that takes care of our customers, takes care of each other. And I'm there just to make sure everything runs smoothly, because if it doesn't, I'm the one that gets hit for it. So anyway, the buck stops here kind of thing. That's me. So
well, what do you got for us this morning? Something a little bit different, I think.
Well, something we just want to bring up. I wanted to mention that Cindy Harrell is our mortgage loan originator, and not sure if everybody knows, she's been there a little over a year now, and just wanted to make sure everybody knew that she is a proven industry professional, and she has been a fantastic addition to our Cedarstone Bank family. And that just, if you've got an interest in, you're looking at buying a house and interested in a mortgage loan, need to come by and visit with Cindy. And we'd love to introduce everyone to her.
And she's in the Lebanon office, I think.
She is in the Lebanon office. That's where her home base is, but she will go meet you at any one of our offices. So if it's more convenient, you work in Mount Juliet, you've only got, a little bit of lunchtime, you can come by and meet her. Just let her know. She can meet you in Mount Juliet. She can meet you in our Nashville office. So she's flexible, and we make what we can do to help our customers and potential customers out.
Well, I think the Fed is about to meet, and we're wondering.
That's the discussion in the word.
We are wondering if they're going to lower interest rates a little bit. If they do, that doesn't affect everybody much, or maybe it might affect everybody, but a lot of times, for some people, it's very little. I think
some people it's very little, and some it's a little more. It just depends, because sometimes it's not as immediate as everybody thinks it's going to be. It takes a little time. What I always find interesting is when the rate goes up, everyone who has a CD is going, "Ooh, that means I get a higher rate on my CD." When the rates go down, you've got all of the borrowers going, "Ooh, does that mean my loan's going to go down?" So, but it doesn't quite exactly work as easily as we like to think it would. But, I mean, it does affect it in the long run overall. So we'll see what happens today. And then in a couple of days, everybody will start kind of seeing how it's going to affect them.
Well, we talk quite a bit, and you're really your signature product is your free checking account.
It is.
And we spend quite a bit of time. If you add up all the minutes you've been here and the minutes that's been devoted to the free checking, it would be, I'd say, at least 8 or 10% or 12% of the time is talked about that. But it's a good thing. It's wonderful to be able to have free checking.
It is wonderful, because there's not a lot of free in this world. I mean, it's quite fabulous. And people say, is it really free? It is free. I mean, we don't make any requirements. It's, $100 minimum deposit, and get a debit card, use at any ATM in the world. You can use your debit card anywhere in the world. It takes care of the exchange rates. If you use it at an ATM machine, we refund the fees. So it's very, it's very user friendly, what I like to call it, because I mean, that's the biggest thing. You hear about people when you talk about, and speaking of which, you've got online banking access, mobile banking app access. You can do mobile remote deposit. So all of those features come with that. It's not like you've got to do anything extra or special to get that.
Right, and if you write checks, and a few of us still use a few occasionally.
Amen.
You get free checks with it, of course.
Yes, free checks also.
And with those foreign ATM fees reimbursed on that, I mean, what more could you want?
I don't know what else you could want. It's fantastic and fabulous.
And I know Bob would want us to just mention real quickly here that school is starting back tomorrow for some here in Wilson County. College will be back before long.
Yes.
And especially if you've got somebody, even a senior in high school, but especially somebody off in college, they need a checking account, and they probably are looking for the parents to fund it. But it's a really good thing to have, and you have it right here. It's so convenient and works well.
It is, and it's fantastic. Like I say, you can do, it's great. Let's say you've got a student in college, that's, somewhere else a few hours away, and, maybe they've got a little side job or something at the college, and they get paid, and here's a check, and Mom and Dad, what do I do with this thing? Well, you've got mobile remote deposit. So if they've got the app and they've got their account, they just snap a picture of the front and the back and deposit, and there we go.
Well, we say simple banking, simply better, and that's the slogan, and that's the way you keep it. But you do keep up with the times, and the banking industry has changed a lot with technology. You can do so many things today that you couldn't used to, and you're right up there on the cutting edge.
Yes, sir. We like to make sure what we have and the services we pick and the technology fits with our simple banking, simply better, and that it is very beneficial for our customers, and I mean, what else can you do if you've always got that goal in mind and that focus of customer service and being customer centric? Then you're gonna make the right choices.
Well, thanks for being with us today. Our time is up, but that is Tina Winfrey, Executive Vice President, Cedar Stone Bank, 11 at Mount Juliet Donaldson. Simple banking, simply better. Thank you.
Thank you, Coleman. Have a great day.
All right, we're 10 and a half after the hour, and my guest is here this morning. I have invited W.P. Bone III to come and be my guest this morning. W.P., good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Now, I think this is Winston Payne Bone III, right? That's you.
Well, if you pronounce it right, it's Winstead.
Winstead. All right.
So, but I'm honored to be on with Tina.
You have a son that's known as Payne, and right. He must be number 4.
He is.
Yeah. Okay. 4. Well, I've been thinking that. I just wanted to hear it straight from you this morning.
Yeah,
thanks for coming out. You recently won an award, an Auto Association award, that we want to talk a little bit about this morning. But there's so much in your life that we could talk about, and I think you've, other than maybe the time you were in the military, you've lived your whole life right here in Lebanon, Tennessee, haven't you?
That's correct, yeah. Very little time away from here.
But the Andrew Jackson Award from the Tennessee Automobile Association was presented to you a few weeks ago in May, wasn't it?
In June.
Yeah, okay. Where'd that take place? That in Nashville?
It took place in Florida at a convention.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the convention and you're receiving the award.
Well, that's 3 states worth of dealers. In Tennessee, there are about 440 dealers, and somebody ends up nominating people to get the award, and I was honored to be voted to receive it this year. And when you think about that, the dealers from East and West that I don't see very often, they must have voted for me. So that was a special honor that they did it and not some committee. So, and the convention is just an information gathering event. And
hopefully you had some downtime in Florida to either enjoy the beach or the eating or something.
And it was eating. I didn't have time to go to the beach. There was some activity all the days that I was there. And when this award was finished, I got on a plane, came home.
But this is, if you will, it is a prestigious award. You've never received this before, I think.
No. only one person got it twice over the years, and that was Jim Reed III. He got it once, and then it was about 30 years later he got it again. So that's pretty cool.
Well, you have you've had a successful dealership, and you didn't start it. Your father actually started it in 1927, I understand.
That's right. Well, he and Mr. Hooker started, A.W. Hooker. He was coal dealer, and Chevrolet came to him and said, "We want a store in this town, and you're a good businessman. Will you do it?" And Dad was in college then, and so he called my dad and said, "I can get this franchise, but if you want it, I don't want to be in the car business." So Dad said, "Okay, I'll do that." He was 19.
So that's the way that all started.
And Mr. Hooker wanted out, and he got him out. And stop and think about that. 1927, it was less than 1,000 days, and you were in the middle of the Great Depression.
Right.
And so every penny counted, and my dad was good at.
Where was it Wilson County Motors when he started?
Yes.
Where did it actually begin?
Right on the corner of Maple Street. Let's see, there's nothing there now. And eventually they owned all four corners of that store, right there next to the block, I should have said. It's right there next to the railroad station.
Yeah, okay.
And so they stayed there until 1964, and they built the building out on West Main Street.
Right. Yeah.
And they were worried that it was so far out that people wouldn't drive out there to see them.
It's almost in the middle of town.
And so when I built out on Hartman Drive, we were worried that people wouldn't come by there. That's been a great move for us, though.
We need to take a break right here. W.P. Bone III, my guest this morning. We got a lot more to talk about, so keep it here, FM 98.9.
All right, it's now 7:17. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota and Rental. Red Max, complete inventory of weed eaters, blowers, hedge trimmers for the commercial user and homeowner with up to a 4-year warranty. 1325 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Very active out here in the last few minutes as far as accidents. 2900 block in Nolensville Pike on a two-car crash. 40 eastbound. That's going to be not too far, actually, from Jefferson Street. Traffic just so heavy this time of the morning already on 40 East as you make your way in from the west side of town there up by White Bridge Pike. Still not too bad. Coming down I-40 right now, leaving Wilson County through Mount Juliet. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken is the original hot chicken in Middle Tennessee. They started all this hot chicken craze. Go by and see them at 5814 Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
At Absolute Kubota, now you can get a great-looking cut in less time, every time. With an Exmark, the mowers landscape pros trust 2-to-1 over the next best-selling brand of mowers. Right now, you can save hundreds on our most popular zero-turn models, each packed with Exmark's legendary innovation, durability, reliability, and comfort. Find the Exmark that's right for you at Absolute Kubota, 1325 West Main Street, Lebanon, Tennessee. Exmark, ready to work for you.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us again. W.P. Bone III is with us this morning. How did we talked about your father starting Wilson County Motors 1927? At that time, was it Chevrolet and Buick that he had? And
no, Coleman, it was just Chevrolet. Later in 37, they got the Plymouth franchise.
Oh.
And the Buick franchise. And at the end of the Second World War, they offered him the Cadillac franchise. And he said, "You know how much those things cost?" He said, "They cost over $2,000. I don't believe I could sell any." And so he didn't take the franchise, and we've kind of regretted that. Off and on. That franchise has gone up and down, up and down. It's kind of back now.
Well, but you went to Castle Heights.
That's right.
You and I were in high school at the same time. You were at Heights. I was at Lebanon High.
But you're older than I am.
A few months. When did you have a desire early on to get into this necessarily?
No, well, I worked there. I started working there when I was 13. I could ride my bicycle down and wash cars. And at the end of the day, well, afternoon generally, at the end of the afternoon, they would get money out of the Coke machine, nickels and dimes. And that's what they'd pay me with. So if you got a buck, I mean, that was, a movie was 10 cents.
Uh-huh.
So you were in clover with $1. And so I worked for Mr. Harkey. I don't know if you remember Mort Harkey.
Yes, I do.
I will testify that he could see a smudge on the rocker panel from 100 yards. WP, you missed that. So, but I enjoyed working there, and that was just fun. And another interesting person, Kathy Green Lowry, and I took inventories during the Christmas break. We counted parts for the whole break. So anyway, Dan Green was the parts manager, so that's the reason I hooked up with Kathy.
I see. Well, when did you actually officially get in and take over yourself?
Well, I bought in 1969 when Mr. Harkey decided to retire. And I was working at Coleman, and he came to me and said that he wanted to retire, and he had a deal that he would sell the membership to one of the other partners. And so he said, I've got it cleared that I can sell it to you if you want to buy in. So I thought about it a few days, and I thought, well, Cumberland is a rarefied atmosphere. You know, you're seeing the same people a lot, and they'll have a lot of different folks coming in, and I think I'd enjoy that. So I bought in, and then I became the dealer in '77.
Well, you've no doubt it's been a very successful thing. And did you study long about moving out towards the interstate?
We really did study long about moving out there, just not so much that it wasn't a good place to move. We thought being close to the interstate was a good idea, but it was how much money it was going to cost, and it was a very expensive proposition. And we worried about it, and we had groups that would come in and meet with us and analyze the figures, and finally we decided, okay, it's time to go. And we pulled the trigger and built that building.
Well, we may need to back up a little bit here, but you have both your sons. Did they come in together at the same time?
No, Mitchell came in a year before Payne did. But that's been a blessing. They're great people, and they're good managers, and we've got very successful 2 stores now.
So chip off the old block, huh?
Well, I don't know. They're probably better than the old block was. The old block's a little rusty.
But you haven't. Hyundai is relatively new. When you and I were growing up, we'd never heard of a Hyundai, but now you've got the dealership here, and I think doing quite well with it too.
Yes, Hyundai's just a fine piece of merchandise, and it's got the longest warranty of anybody out there in the car world. And in the next year, they're going to have 6 new models coming out. So it's an exciting franchise to have.
Well, now, have you usually when the advertisement is done, you see Mitchell and Payne. You don't see you much anymore, but you still. But you're the one got the award. How involved are you now?
Well, they would probably say too much, but I'm there every day, all day. So, but I, because of them, I'm free to travel and go to the cabin and up in the mountains and just not be so pressed. but my work with Cumberland keeps me busy, and that's a great pleasure. I signed a stack of diplomas day before yesterday, and that's my best part of my job, to get to sign those diplomas. So.
Now, you are chairman of the Board of Trust at Cumberland, right?
Yes.
And did you succeed Bob McDonald? He was that for a while.
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
So, but you had an affiliation with Cumberland for a long, long time, right? Been on the Board of Trust maybe for a number of years and so on?
Since the early 70s, I've been on that board. And, well, my dad was on that board for 50 years. And, of course, his father came to Cumberland in 1894 and taught, well, he was president from 09 to 1914. That's right. And he taught until about a year before he died. And he died in 41. So, we got a long history with Cumberland University.
Right. Well, another thing that you've done, you and Bob McDonald kind of teamed up, and we've told that story a time or two here, how that you were wanting to do something for education, and I think you were maybe off on a trip, or you'd got the idea somewhere, and it came in and threw the article on Bob's desk and says, this is what we're going to do, something like that.
Well, Bob adds a little to that story every time he tells it. It gets a little bit better. But yes, I had a USA Today paper, and it was talking about their Teacher of the Year program. And I thought, well, why can't we do that? And so Bob and I spent 2 years figuring out how it should work, and talking to people and getting folks to advise us. And lo and behold, this is the 22nd year we're going into now.
Well, I think it's grown a lot, and you've got close to 30 teachers that are named Teacher of the Year at their respective schools, and then one is chosen to be the Wilson County Teacher of the Year. And you or your businesses have put some money with that every year to make it more attractive.
We do. The teacher gets a check for $2,000, and the school gets a check for $500. But we always tell the principal, well, you got this because of your teacher, and so spend it on their classroom. don't just put it in the bucket. It's a fun thing. It's gotten so big now, we're going to run out of place to do it, because you think about it, over that many years, we've honored well over 500 teachers. And we put on a really nice banquet, and Bob and I worry over it and make sure that the napkins are just right. we're a little fastidious about making it look good.
Well, you haven't, I don't think, been a teacher yourself. Maybe you've taught people how to sell cars or whatever, but you've been a proponent of education, I think, all your life, really, haven't you? Especially your adult life.
I have. I didn't teach much when I worked at Coleman, but I did. I kind of specialized in Herman Melville, and so Commander Harris was teaching English, and he said, "I don't like Herman Melville. Do you mind if you come teach that?" So I taught Moby Dick every year.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, another thing you've been involved in is the Boy Scouts of America.
Yes. Well, that's a great reward too to me, because you get these kids outside and off their telephones or game machines, and they just learn a lot. And my two grandsons were not real interested, but Hayden is now an Eagle Scout. He's out at UCLA, and Zach will be shortly, and Zach has just become an outdoorsman through that program. Well, not just because of that, but a lot of
speaking of outdoorsmen, what do you do for fun, recreation, or to get away? And haven't you been to Africa a time or two?
I've been to Africa twice, and I'm just a big proponent of people going to Africa. I told my son Mitchell, I believe I could live in Tanzania. The people are just so friendly, so nice, and but it's huge and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And being open air Jeep and see the lions walk by you and a rhinoceros over there. If you could see our pictures from our last trip, which was last year, you just say, I can't believe you saw all that.
We got about a minute left. What the future of automobile dealerships like you're going now?
Well, if I could answer that, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I would be up in Detroit running the place. Nobody quite knows. It's going to be a long time before you see automated driving machines, although they're making them now. Mm-hmm. And GM's got a whole fleet of those cars made to use as lift vehicles, the franchise lift. It's not going to change for a long time. We're going to still have to fix those cars, just like we do now. And our service department is we're talking about expanding it now because there's so much work to do out there.
Well, I want to thank you for taking time to be with us this morning. Congratulations on winning this Andrew Jackson Award from the Tennessee Automobile Association, and you've had great success here in Lebanon, and we wish you continued success. And thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Coleman, for inviting me. I enjoyed talking to you.
Well, it's been a real nice visit this morning, and thanks again. And we'll take a break right here. We've got Congressman John Rose on the other side, so stay with us here on Coleman and Company FM 98.9.
And it's 7:29. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank Bates Ford, and they've got the low price tire guarantee on all tires every day up to 30 days after the sale. There'll be any competitor's pricing on the tires they sell. 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Well, good morning. Traffic still very heavy here on 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. Coming down Ellington Parkway right now, that's pretty heavy as well from the top to the bottom. Murfreesboro Pike at Faircloth. That's one of the latest wrecks in South Nashville. Traffic's still very busy as you make your way in from the west side on I-40 East here up by Whitebridge Pike. Prince's Hot Chicken is the original hot chicken in Middle Tennessee. Check it out for lunch today. It's so good. 5814 Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck, your on-time traffic.
This is Philip Etherly with Absolute Rental and Supply. Whether it's cleaning, painting, remodeling, or simply getting better organized, we have the tools and equipment to get the job done. Scaffolding, paint sprayers, ladders, power saws, portable heaters, temporary lighting, generators, hardwood floor staplers, from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers, Absolute Rental has what you need. Call 615-443-RENT. Absolute Rental and Supply. We have what you need.
This is Bob McDonough with Cedar Stone Bank. We know there are times when financial circumstances can be complicated for families and businesses, but we do not believe the solutions need to be. That's why for 15 years we've been delivering simple banking to our customers while still offering all services and products. We're thankful for our customers and the communities that we serve. If you don't bank with us, it would be our pleasure to visit with you and talk about how simple banking is simply better.
Cedar Stone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Gregory Dental in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from University Medical Center. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on a compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway, across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
We've made it halfway through the work week. You can expect a mix of clouds and sun for your Wednesday. I can't rule out a storm or two during the afternoon, but it'll still be warm. Highs will top out at right around the 90-degree mark. For tonight, we'll see skies gradually start to clear out. It'll be a little cooler. Wake-up temps tomorrow will be in the upper 60s. That's your forecast. I'm meteorologist Nisa Lomax.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part 2 here on this wonderful Wednesday. We are ready to talk about Absolute Rental Supply. Philip Etherly is here. Philip, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
I tell you what, you weren't here last week, but you sent Elijah and Joshua, your sons.
Yes, sir.
And they did a great job.
Well, I was very proud of them.
Did you hear any of it?
I did. I had a guy actually record it when I got back in town. He played it for me, and I was very proud of both boys.
They're right there with you, huh?
Yep, they're working today.
Doing whatever needs to be done.
Exactly.
Well, Absolute Rental and Supply, of course, located at 1325 West Main in Lebanon. And if you don't get anything else out of the 5 or 6 minutes that Philip's here, you want to know that phone number, which is 615-443-RENT, R-E-N-T.
That's correct.
443-RENT, and anything from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers.
Yeah, we have it. Like I say, right now is a good time of the year for us. These afternoon showers are kind of messing with us a little bit, messing with people's schedules and all. But overall, right now is a really good time because people are able to schedule their work. We do make reservations. People can call and reserve something. And I would say probably 90% of the time we can always fit someone in. I had a gentleman call early this morning looking for a skid steer. I looked at the computer. It was saying they were all booked. I kind of dug in and found out, well, no, one of them's not going out until 5 o'clock this evening. So now we're able to take care of that guy. It turned out it worked out perfect.
Well, you've been doing this for 18 years now at the same location.
Yep.
And, of course, added the Kubota dealership and the other things that we talk about on Monday morning. But Wednesday is when we talk about everything that you've got to rent. Exactly. Business people, contractors, homeowners, anybody that needs a piece of equipment and don't want to go buy an expensive piece of equipment to use once every other year or two. That's where you come in.
It really does. It works out really great. And, we're due to the force of competition. We always are making sure that we keep the most updated equipment, the best quality equipment, and, it just makes sense. I like that factor that we're constantly changing. Things are evolving. Things are getting better. Like I think we've talked about before, nobody wants a builder's level anymore. It's always the laser level, the one man, the most efficient type deal. And that's what we strive to do is have that type of equipment.
Well, you have good people there, and the whole idea is to make sure that you get the right piece of equipment to get the job done that they're wanting to do, which means sometimes you do have to ask questions.
Exactly. We talk about that a lot. We do ask a lot of questions. We consider ourselves a service business. We're wanting to find out what their project is, and then we want to be able to assist them with providing them with the best piece of equipment to do that.
You mentioned, I think the last time you were here, you've been doing quite a bit with lifts. You still got
their aerial lift business is really busy, and we've got everything. If you've got a project you need to get up in there, we've got everything from ladders, scaffolding, towable lifts, drivable lifts, scissor lifts. There's probably 15 different types of lifts we have. And so, like I say, if you've got a project, you need to get up in there, give us a call, tell us about how high you need to go, how far you need to reach over, those types of questions, and then we can normally fix you right up.
Well, you do have convenient hours, too, and that's another thing. You've got your customer in mind here because you're open at 7 o'clock every morning, and you stay open until
6.
6?
Yeah, 7 to 6, Monday through Friday, and 7 to 4 on Saturdays, because once again, we want to be there when that customer is either before work, getting off work on Saturdays. Saturdays are huge for us. We're very busy on Saturdays, and because they're, again, the normal homeowner is off on Saturdays, and that's when they want to do their projects.
All right, one other thing, we'll close it out with you, but you are part of the great giveaway at the Wilson County Fair. You've got tickets for that, but you've also got a big Kubota tractor in that as well.
Exactly, yeah. We hope everybody comes by and gets the tickets, and, I think the fair is going to be very exciting this year. Everything I've heard has been very positive, so we look forward to that.
All right, and we look forward to you coming back next Wednesday, and again, we'll talk about Absolute Rental and Supply.
All right, thank you.
Philip Etherly, Absolute Rental and Supply, 1325 West Main, and the phone number 615-443-RENT. All right, we are 22 minutes before 8 o'clock, and Congressman John Rose joins us this morning. Congressman, I'll get right to you here. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Walker. Thank you for having us on this morning.
Well, it's certainly nice to have you here, and I understand you've got a busy day planned here for Lebanon, Tennessee.
That's right. We're going to be visiting constituents, and I think speaking at one of the civic clubs later this morning.
Well, how have you been? I talked with you on the phone once, I believe, since you've been in Washington, and we kind of been hoping we could do this once a quarter. We're here. We're in the third quarter of the year now, but hopefully you'll be back before the year's over. And but how has it been? these 7 months in Washington, D.C.?
Sure. Well, thankfully, I feel like we have gotten on the ground quickly and are in a good place to represent the people of the 6th District of Tennessee. As you no doubt recall, and your listeners, perhaps I'm a first-time elected representative and had not previously served in an elected office. So there's been a learning curve for me in that regard. And obviously, Washington is an interesting place with a storied history, and the founding fathers saw fit to create a fairly complex process for the enactment of laws, and so that learning to navigate that is a challenge at times.
Well, let me. What maybe has been a really surprise, a big surprise, something you weren't expecting.
I guess the difficulty of changing things in Washington. It's again, the founding fathers created an intricate process for the passage of laws. They saw the status quo as freedom, and they wanted it to be difficult for our government to intrude upon freedom. So they made it difficult to pass laws. There's a reason why when something's really hard, you say it'll take an act of Congress. And so it is, I have a new appreciation for that. I think we've layered additional complexities into that with the political process in our country. And so that's been probably the most stark realization I've had, is that it just takes a while to change things in Washington.
What about those on the other aisle? You're a Republican, the Democrats, getting acquainted with them and maybe trying to work with them. How's that been? Well,
and that's an interesting element in, is an interesting attribute of Washington, I guess. Obviously, everyone is aware the Republicans are in the minority in the House of Representatives, so I enter my service in the minority. The majority in the House of Representatives controls the agenda entirely, and so they are fully in control of what we talk about, what we vote on, the schedule. Literally every aspect of service in the House is controlled by the majority party. Right now, that's the Democrats. And so that's challenging as well. Obviously, I don't know anything different, so I don't probably chafe as much as some of my Republican colleagues who were used to being for the last 8 years in the majority themselves. So to hear them talk, it's an injustice, and so I think would never wish that the Republicans be in the minority, but I think it's probably a good learning experience for me to see that and maybe then be in a better position to appreciate, hopefully at some point in the near future, we'll be back in the majority and able to drive the agenda more effectively. But I think the lessons that I've learned are that, again, the Founding Fathers wanted us to compromise. They wanted there to be consensus building. And so what I've seen over the last 7 months is, unfortunately, the Democrats have chosen to use that time to advance the most extreme elements of their agenda. And most of that legislation that the House has passed, again, most of it in a very partisan way, on a partisan basis, will never go anywhere because the Senate will never hear those bills. The president would never sign them.
Well, since you've mentioned it, I've got to bring this up. And the Equality Act, so-called, is something that I wanted to talk with you about this morning. It did pass in the House, and I noticed that of our 7 Republican congressmen from Tennessee, 6 voted against it and 1 passed. I believe Representative Burchett out of Knoxville. You voted against it. The 2 Democrats, one from Nashville and from Memphis, both voted for it. But what's your opinion of that bill?
Well, I think it included, some of the most extreme elements of the kind of the liberal social agenda and things which, would be really contrary to what people here in rural Tennessee, particularly the 6th District, would expect. And so, and it will never come up on the Senate side.
Much feedback from the people of the district, especially opposed to that?
Lots of opposition. I say lots of opposition. The consensus of what we heard from people here in the 6th District was opposition to it. I think it's an act that, because people knew that it probably was never going to go never going to be enacted into law, that kind of reduces the level of interest that people have. I think for the most part, the citizenry have a pretty good sense when they know something might become law. They know that, and they get more animated about being either for it or against it.
What are some of the other issues that you're hearing from the 6th District that people are really concerned about?
Well, I hear regularly concern about just the overreach of the federal government, the deficit. We do hear some about health care. As you know, we have a rural district largely, and so we hear a little bit about quite a bit about the rural hospital closings. That's an issue that comes up often. But in terms of the big national issues, not surprisingly, with the 6th District being overwhelmingly conservative in the mindset at this point, we hear about the budget deficit, we hear about national defense, we hear about support for Israel and our allies around the world, but particularly Israel and the Middle East. And so and then we hear a lot of concern about the calls from the other side for the president's impeachment and the continuing ongoing investigations into allegations from the 2016 presidential election.
Well, one more thing here, we'll go to the break. Your opinion about the last 2.5 years and the Mueller investigation and his findings in the report that's come out.
Well, I think the president has asserted from the beginning that there was no collusion, that there was no interference in the investigation, and I think ultimately that's what we spent more than $30 million in 2 years and countless witnesses and thousands of pages of documents produced, and it's interesting. I think a lot of people lose sight of this is that the Director Mueller, special counsel here, led this investigation with the team of highly regarded, at least from their professional perspective as prosecutors, highly regarded investigators, and they made the decision not to prosecute. And this is as an attorney by training, something I think everyone needs to keep in mind. Every day, prosecutors across this country make the decision not to prosecute. Usually, it's not as well publicized as it is here. And in normal course, there's no report that becomes public. Prosecutors just make that decision. And we know in this country, it's one of those things you learn as a youngster, you're innocent until proven guilty. And so in this case, the government made the decision not to prosecute. And they make those decisions every day. And normally we don't even know that they were thinking about prosecuting someone or investigating it. And here they chose not to do that. So it really affirms what the president had been maintaining and the people around him. And so, the other side might point to some of the prosecutions that did go forward, but none of those were related to the president. They were all related to either the witnesses maybe not being completely truthful in questions that were asked of them, not related to this situation, but related to their other activities and prior activities prior to the 2016 election. So I think at the end of the day, it really should clear the air. I realize some people don't like the president, but the criminal justice system shouldn't be used to try to punish somebody you don't like just because you disagree with them politically. We resolve those issues in elections, and we had an election in 2016. Folks are going to get another chance to vote on that next year.
All right. Well, I do want to thank you for being here, and we just got started good, and it's time for a break. 6th District Congressman John Rose is with us here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's now 7:48. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Absolute Kubota and Rental. Red Max, complete inventory of weed eaters, blowers, hedge trimmers for the commercial user and homeowner with up to a 4-year warranty. 1325 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Well, good morning. The police out here trying to move this right 24 eastbound at Shelby. It's been active as far as accidents right here in this general area for some reason this morning here on I-24 right up from the football stadium. Traffic's still in pretty good shape right now. Coming down 65 passing Vietnam Vets. It's still just heavy coming in from Rutherford County on 24 through the Hickory Hollow area. Still not bad out of Dixon County on 40 east through Kingston Springs. Get the lowest prices, most of your airline tickets. Smart Bears save you 70% off. Call 1-800-915-2544. I'm Commander Chuck, your on-time traffic.
She's taken care of you your whole life. Now it's your turn to take care of her. But with a family of your own and other responsibilities, there just aren't enough hours in the day. That's why it might be time to call the Pavilion Senior Living. From bathing, dressing, housekeeping, and meals, the Pavilion Senior Living is committed to being senior living you can trust for your loved one. Find out more at pavilionseniorliving.com or call 444-5556. That's 444-5556.
Coleman and Company. Oh, thanks for waving, MJ. I get to talking sometimes, and I'm not watching the on-the-air light, but we do have Congressman John Rose with us this morning, representing the 6th District. But not only is a congressman here, but we have two of the people who keep him on the move and let him know what's happening back in Tennessee, at least. And ladies first here, Rebecca Foster, District Director. Rebecca, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to our program. Tell us just a little bit about you, if you will.
Well, I'm a nurse by background. I've been a nurse for 29 years and worked at Cumberland Medical Center in Crossville, Tennessee for 25 of those 29 years until the congressman convinced me that he was worthy of someone coming to work for him that had no political background but had some experience in the healthcare field, which is obviously something that is important to the 6th District constituents.
Well, I take it that you're staying pretty busy helping him be informed and taking care of issues here.
We are. Our office, the one I work out of, is in Cookeville, Tennessee. We take calls there. Folks will call us to give us their thoughts on anything that may be coming up. Then we visit out in the district with constituents and businesses and healthcare leaders and other business leaders to determine, what their thoughts are, what their challenges are, and when we identify those, we send those back up to D.C. and to the congressman.
All right, we have Ray Render with us, too. Ray, I think you've been on the program here with me once, and you're the Deputy District Director based in Gallatin.
Yes, sir. Mr. Walker, good to be with you this morning. Thank you for having us. And I live right in Mount Juliet, so I'm in Wilson County, and thank you for everything you do for Wilson County. Just quickly, I am the Deputy District Director. We office up in Gallatin at the Sumner County Admin Building. The folks up there lovingly call that the Taj Mahal. So if you're listening up in that area, that's where we're at.
But you actually live in Mount Juliet.
I live in Mount Juliet. I've been there about 17 years now, so love Wilson County. And, please, so if you're on the western side of the district, it could be Robertson, Sumner, Wilson, Trousdale, Macon, those counties kind of call on the Gallatin office when they need something. It's geographically closer. Miss Kim Mash is there as our caseworker, so a lot of times she'll be the one answering the phone and can help you. And, of course, I'm there myself, and anything we can do to help, that's why we're there.
Well, Congressman, I'm sure you appreciate the efforts that these two people do to help you do what you do.
Absolutely, and I might mention our Chief of Staff is former U.S. Congressman Van Hillary, who represented much of the 6th District that used to be part of the 4th District, and he was in office from 1995 to 2003, and I'm so proud of our staff and Congressman Hillary and Rebecca and Ray here. We took the view we wanted to have a great staff so that I'm as I indicated earlier, I'm a first-time office holder, and so I wanted to make sure we had a leg up. Mr. Walker, a few months ago, I was at the Defense Department, and the leader of the Air Force told me, he said, if Mr. Congressman Rose, if we ever get in a fight, we don't want it to be a fair fight, and so we want to have an overwhelming advantage. And so I wanted to have an overwhelming advantage in serving the people of the 6th District, and I think we achieved that with the people that we've got helping.
Well, before we get to another issue, you've got a pretty busy schedule today. Which one of y'all, where's he going? Ray, are you in charge of that?
We've actually, our summer intern, Jack, has helped us out with today. A great gentleman. We're proud to have him with us. So heading over to the mayor's office for a little while this morning. Then we are going to visit some industry here with ProMobile in town. Go out and visit those folks. He is speaking at the chamber this afternoon at lunchtime out at Five Oaks, and then catch a little more industry this afternoon with the Amazon Distribution Center. So Wilson County Day.
Is every day like this when you go to one of the counties?
It is. And Ray and Rebecca do a good job of filling up my day, and sometimes I give them a hard time about it because I I laugh about this, particularly this time being home to the district. I was on Saturday. I was headed up to Cumberland County for an event, and I was listening to Fox News on the radio. And the commentator, somebody who I used to like, came on and said, Congress is on a 6-week vacation. And I thought, no, I didn't get the memo on that vacation part. So we are working hard to make sure we're accessible. And I really do appreciate Rebecca and Ray. And I hope that the listeners will feel free to reach out to us when they have an issue with the federal government that we can help solve.
Well, staying in touch with the district is very important. To really represent an area, you've got to stay in touch and hear your people out a little bit. If you're not, they're not going to be too enthusiastic when it comes time to pull that lever at the voting machine.
That's right. And I want to encourage even those who may not agree with me politically and may not always agree with the way I vote to reach out and share with us their perspectives. And my job is to represent the 713,928 people that live across the 19 counties that comprise the 6th District of Tennessee.
Well, let's talk about the national budget. I guess we've got one that's supposed to take place, September 1 or October 1, I guess.
October 1, the new fiscal year would begin.
Will we have one, maybe? Are we going to do a continuation budget like we do here sometimes till we can come up with one?
Sure. Well, I don't have really great news to report there, but I will say this, to kind of acquaint people. Unfortunately, this year, the Congress did not even attempt to pass a budget. And so that's kind of getting into the weeds of Washington a little. The budget is just a guideline document, but, it's something we should do. But the Democrats chose to not even propose a budget for this year. So what we're doing is we've gone straight on to the appropriations, which are the spending bills that proceed through the Congress. And we've taken up, I think now 2 or 3 of those on the House side. Of course, they have to go through on the Senate side as well. I'm not sure. I don't think anything has completed its way through the process. So I am deeply concerned that we will get to September 30th, which is the end of the current fiscal year, and probably not have all that work done is my current fear. We did, the House just did pass a debt extension, I guess, to keep the government operating once the current debt limit runs out here in a few weeks. And I voted against it because it includes what I thought was just too much additional unfunded deficit spending. And it did pass on the House side. It hasn't come through on the Senate side yet. I know they're considering taking it up this week, and hopefully they will. But it is the problem, and I think it's the number one problem facing the country is the size of the country's debt, now over $22 trillion, moving toward $23 trillion, which is difficult to even fathom. And this year, $1 trillion in additional debt. And, if you think about that, it's $100 million an hour. Wow. So in the time that we'll be on this program today, the country will borrow $50 million, which just seems hard to even grasp.
Let's talk about President Trump a little bit. Of course, he's a Republican, but there are people who they agree with him up to a point. They think he tweets too much. They think he runs his mouth sometimes when he really shouldn't. What kind of marks do you give President Trump and his behavior, let's say?
Well, I give him high marks. I think of the presidents who've served during my lifetime. I'm 54. I know I don't look it, but it's sadly true. He made a number of promises as a candidate, and I think more so than any president in my lifetime, he's worked to keep those promises. So he made some promises about rebuilding our military, and he's worked with almost a single purposefulness to do that. He made promises about appointing conservatives to the judiciary, and he's followed through on those promises in a way that prior presidents didn't. He made promises like moving the American embassy to the capital of Israel, to Jerusalem, and a number of previous presidents had made that promise but not kept it, and this president kept it. So I give him really high marks, and we have, I think anyone listening would agree, and it's just factually true. We have one of the most robust economies in my lifetime, the lowest unemployment in my lifetime, the lowest minority unemployment in my lifetime, the highest real wage growth in 2 decades. And we're seeing that wage growth happen among working people at the lower end of the income spectrum, where we're seeing real wage growth for the first time in years. And so this president has delivered. And if you're out there as a working person in this country, this president has delivered for you. And so I give him really high marks. Now, obviously, a lot of chatter and clutter that have been in the news media over the 2.5 years of his presidency. So that's kind of distracted from some of the accomplishments.
We're running out of time here. A minute and a half left, and I'll just ask one final thing here. When you get back to Washington, what's going to happen, say, the rest of this calendar year? What do you look for?
Well, I think the number one issue is going to be to fund the government, make sure that we've got the appropriations bills passed so that we don't have another government shutdown, either partial or complete. And so that will come first. There are a number. I serve on the Financial Services Committee. It's one of the A committees. They kind of rank the committees in importance, A, B, and C. And so an honor for me as a freshman member, one of only a handful of Republican freshmen that got to serve on an A committee. And so we have a number of issues that are kind of kitchen table issues, things like renewing terrorism risk insurance that affects commercial businesses in particular, but it affects everyone, and that's got to be renewed. And so there are issues like that. And something that I think is important to say, Coleman, is that unfortunately a lot of what people don't hear are the things that go through the Congress on a bipartisan basis that solve real problems. And you don't hear about those very often, but that does happen every day. And so you hear about the disagreements and the fights, but we've got a lot of work to do that solve real problems for Americans, and we need to get to that work. And I'm hoping that the Democrat majority in the House will let some of that work get done this fall.
Well, I want to thank you for being here. We are out of time, but not only Congressman John Rose, but his assistants Ray Render and Rebecca Foster have been with us as well. Congressman, thanks a lot, and anytime we can have you here, we welcome you, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. It's great to be here.
That is it for Wednesday. Join us tomorrow for Coleman and Company. Till then, I wish you a wonderful day.